Then I watched I Feel Pretty. I'll be honest. I watched this. Well, I mean, I own it, so I mean, what can I say? I own the movie, so I can't. I gotta take some credit for this one. I was gonna watch it eventually, but hey everybody, happy Friday, and once again we are back down here in the library because I've got something some of you guys have been asking me about. I've been putting it off since the beginning of the month, and that is January's reviews. Yes, this is all the movies I watched during the month of January. There's quite a few. Apparently, I started the year off with a bang. I did not realize I watched that many movies just in January alone, so let's get down to it. We're going to go through these very quickly, as always. Again, brief thoughts on these films, so let's just dive right in for those of you who actually want to hear what I think of movies. So first up is a movie that, I don't know why it's taken me so long to watch this. I've wanted to see it, and then the sequel came out, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I've got to watch the first movie, and that is Creed. And I've heard nothing but fantastic things about this movie, and yeah, completely lives up to every last amazing thing I heard. I loved this. And who would have thought that essentially what is a Rocky spin-off movie could possibly be this good? I mean, they passed the torch. It's a Rocky story, just with a new Rocky, essentially. And yeah, Rocky's still in it, but again, it's a spin-off movie. It's not a Rocky movie in the sense that it's a movie about Rocky. It's a movie about Creed Jr. here. And it was so well done. It's fantastic. If you are a fan of the Rocky franchise, you're gonna love Creed. It is really, really good, and I hear the sequel is also really, really good. So it's about time I finally got around to watching Creed. This is a definite, like, when I sit down every so often and marathon the Rocky franchise, I'm not going to skip over Creeds. It's going to be just Rockies right into Creeds. I love these movies. Well, I love this movie. I'm already saying I'm going to love the second movie because I hear it's fantastic, and I loved this one. So I'm already saying it. Second movie, I'm probably going to love. So awesome. Only negative thing with this movie is there's a scene where Rocky's talking about, as I would say, water, but no, you see, Rocky's from Philadelphia, and for those of you who are familiar with the Philadelphia area, you don't say water, you say water, WDDER or something, water, that is how you pronounce it, and kind of bugged me. I'm watching a guy from Philadelphia properly pronounce the word, which is something I've never heard anybody from Philadelphia or the surrounding area do. I'm one of the few people I know who don't say that. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if I occasionally do say water, because it's just everybody says it. Only downfall of the movie. Only downfall is the word water. Anyway, Creed, fantastic. Watch it. So good. I loved it. Then I went into Venom, and yeah, Venom was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's the movie I expected. It was good. I liked it, but it's a who did this? Sony. It's a non-Marvel movie, and I tend to like those just to whatever extent. Some are better than others, but I mean the Spider-Man movies, even the Fantastic Fours and the new Fantastic Four movie they did. Although not the new Fantastic Four, the most recent one. They should do, if you don't know who the new Fantastic Four is, look up that group. That is a movie they need to make. A new Fantastic Four movie. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. It's I'll tell you, it was Spider-Man, It's Hulk, but Grey Hulk, Ghost Rider, and I believe Wolverine, right? Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, make it happen, make that movie happen. Anyway, so, yeah, again, what I expected. It was very entertaining, as these movies tend to be. It kept me entertained. It was a good popcorn movie. It's not up there, in my opinion, with, like, the, Marvel Studios movies, but, it was still really good, great. I'm sure they'll do a sequel. I'm on board. I want to see where they go with it. The movie does end on a cliffhanger, so I am curious. I want to see where the franchise goes from here. I enjoyed it. It was decent. My major downfall was the CGI. It looked very CGI. I mean, Venom's like this kind of like liquid. Think like liquid mercury. It almost kind of had that kind of look to it. But it just, I don't know what they could have done to make it look better. It just looked dated. I don't know. Something about the CGI it was kind of taking me out of the movie. At times because it didn't look as good as it maybe could have been, or maybe it was too good. I don't know what it was, but it's just something about the CGI. I just wasn't blown away by it. It didn't really do it for me. I mean, there were times where it worked, but then there was times where it just like when it wasn't working for me. I don't know. Anyway, Venom was good. I liked it. If you're a fan of like the non-Marvel Studio Marvel movies, if you're like me and you at least get a kick out of them, then yeah, watch it. Watch Venom. It's one of the better ones too. I mean, it's not as bad as like the Fantastic Four or something like that, but it's still it's good. It's worth saying. I liked it. Next up was Molly's Game. This was interesting. I had no idea what this movie was going into it. Turns out it's a film all about a girl who is on her way towards the Olympics. That doesn't work out for her so well, so she starts running an illegal, not an illegal, a sort of gray area poker ring, and it's based on a true story of these famous people who would go to this poker game. It was like the world's like most famous poker game. Like all the big celebrities would like want to be part of this poker game, and how it just sort of very quickly sort of spiraled out of control and went from being just her putting on this game, making sort of some money off it. Again, it's staying kind of in the gray area where she really couldn't get in trouble for anything she was doing. Kind of, I guess at the very least, maybe the authorities could have said, please stop what you're doing, but she couldn't have gone to jail for it. But as things progressed, it didn't stay that way. So anyway, great story. I liked this one. It was great. The chemistry between her and her attorney are really great. So I liked it. It was really really entertaining. Definitely one to check out. Then a movie that I want to say, why is it taking me so long to watch this? But I have seen this before. While watching this movie, I was like, I've seen this. It's been a long time, but I've seen this. And that is Mr. Saturday Night. The reason why I wanted to watch this is because I was re-listening to my Billy Crystal audiobook about his life. And he talks about this movie and how critics, they liked it, but the audience is not so much. And I wanted to watch it. But again, like I said, I know I've seen this movie before. It was very familiar. All about this comedian who just kind of rises up, and as he ages, he realizes he's not the nicest guy, kind of a jerk, didn't treat his family and his friends very well, kind of pushed everybody out, and it's really well done. But I understand why maybe audiences didn't care for it so much, since it was not what you expect. You're thinking, funny man, Billy Crystal, and he plays a comic, but he's a kind of a jerk, cynical sort of comic. I mean, he's very cheesy. He's not really going for the laughs in this movie. He's going for a more serious role, and I don't think audiences necessarily want to see a serious take on an actual like a comedian's real supposed life, as opposed to just I'm doing a funny movie. So I liked it. It was great. I really did enjoy this one. It's a great dramedy, I guess I would say. It's got some funny moments in it. It's definitely got some humor and some comedy and some great moments, but it's more of a drama. But yeah, definitely worth watching. I liked it. If you're a fan of Billy Crystal's work, it's worth seeing. Then another movie I watched because of an audiobook, and that was Cross My Heart. So I went into this one because of Martin Short, him talking about him working with Ned O'Toole, and the strangeness that went on there, which, by the way, Ned O'Toole, so pretty. So I went to see this movie because, again, he talks about it in his audiobook, and I hadn't yet to watch it, and again, kind of similar in the sense that it's not necessarily a straight-up comedy. It's a comedy, yes, but it's all about this guy basically going on his first date with somebody and the weirdness that kind of comes from trying to talk to each other, sex, saying the wrong thing. It just, again, it's snowball. It's this weird roller coaster where things are going good for them and then not so good for them and then good for them and then not so good for them, and it's just all kind of all over the place. But it was decent. Not one of my favorite Martin Short movies, but still worth checking out. Again, it's not going to have you like rolling off your couch laughing. It's not necessarily that kind of a movie, but it is interesting. It is worth checking out, and it's just a kind of interesting look at sort of going on your first date. So I liked Crustman Heart. It was decent. Then a movie I didn't really care for very much, and that was is it Phenom? Am I saying that right? The Phenom? This is a movie about a baseball player, but not so much about him playing baseball as so much about him and his issues. He has a lot of daddy issues, rightfully so. His dad's a jerk in this movie, but yeah, kind of him sort of dealing with his issues, and he's talking to Paul Giamatti, his shrink. My problem with the movie is it doesn't really go anywhere. It didn't amount to anything. The movie just kind of just ends at one point. It just, I was expecting more of this sort of like baseball drama, or maybe even like, okay, it's about this kid and his what he's going through, but there's also like, I don't know. It really just went nowhere for me. I found the movie kind of boring and just sort of drew on, and it didn't go anywhere. I was very sort of let down with the movie. I did not care for this one very much. So I would actually say stay away from this one. If you're a fan of baseball movies, it's really not a baseball movie. It looks like it would be. You would think baseball movie, not so much. So I'm gonna say no to that one. I didn't care for it. Then I wanted to rewatch because it had been a while. Kingdom of the Spiders. I don't know what made me want to rewatch this one, but it's a great classic William Shatner. Town gets overrun by tarantulas, and they have this apparently like super deadly venom because I like how they kind of make it realistic in the sense that they're like, well, yeah, but it's a spider bite. I mean, because actually tarantulas aren't really all that venomous. From what I'm told, their bites more like a bee sting to humans. It's not. I mean, if you get bit by a lot of them, it could be bad. Kind of like if you get stung by a lot of bees, it could be really bad for you. But for the most part, if you get bit by a tarantula, unless you're allergic or something, you're probably going to be okay. Just go to the doctor; they'll do what they got to do, and you'll be fine. But in this one, they're saying that like the tarantulas has some like crazy deadly super venom, and they take over this whole town, and it's great. And I love how the movie, I'm not going to give away the ending necessarily, but it's not necessarily a happy ending. I love it. It's a great movie about killer animals. I mean, spiders taking over a town. William Shatner hamming it up. Really weird thing where William Shatner's dead brother's wife wants to bang William Shatner. That's strange. But yeah, it's awesome. I cannot recommend this movie enough. If you like cheesy sci-fi horror movies, oh my gosh, this is one that has to be in your collection. I mean, this is not a movie just to watch. This is one to own and love and cherish because it's so good. Then I watched a PBS documentary called A Cemetery Special, done by, what is his name? Oh my gosh, Rick Sebak, am I saying it right? Sebak, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. If you hear the guy's voice, you're gonna be like, oh, it's that guy. He does a lot of documentaries, and I tend to really enjoy his documentaries. The only issue with this one is, and he even mentions, I love how he does this. The documentary starts, and he basically says in the beginning of the documentary, look, there's a bajillion cemeteries out there. We're not even gonna scratch the surface. We're gonna talk about a couple of them, and that's the case. He realizes there are like a zillion cemeteries, and they're not even gonna get close to getting to all of them. We're gonna talk about like 5. Like that's it. It's what it is. And they talk about some bigger ones that have some really cool like architecture and really cool headstones and these big parks and these big beautiful cemeteries. They do talk about a ton of them. It was a great documentary. I would say I'd love to see this as a series. That would have been really cool. A whole series on cemeteries. That would have been great. But for what it is, it was a decent watch. I enjoyed it. I do really like his documentaries. And again, the only downfall is there are so many cemeteries. I want to see more. This documentary ends and you're like, no, we can just keep going. This can be like a 5-hour, 7-hour, 10-hour, I mean, this should be like 15 discs. I should be watching this one for like days. It should just be a great documentary series. But Cemetery Special, worth checking out. If you get it for cheap, it is worth picking up. Then I wanted to watch AntMan because I wanted to watch the sequel. So AntMan, I love this movie. It is great. I really do enjoy this one. I remember when like Paul Rudd was announced as AntMan. I was like, all right, kind of a weird choice, but no, it works. He's fantastic as Ant-Man. I really do enjoy Ant-Man. I think it's a fantastic story, great Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. If you like the MCU, this is right up there. It's so good, so well done, very entertaining. Do I really need to go into Ant-Man? I'm sure we've all seen it, but it's phenomenal. It's great Marvel movie. So, again, I wanted to get caught back up so I could watch Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it was good. I enjoyed it, but in my opinion, in comparison, not quite as good. This might even go on my list of like weaker Marvel movies. I'm not saying it was bad. It wasn't. This was an enjoyable watch. If you like the first Ant-Man, you're probably gonna like the second one. If you like just Marvel movies in general, you're going to enjoy this film. It's just that it didn't quite have that bang that the first movie did. The first movie was so entertaining. I loved everything about it. The characters. I loved the way it flowed. I just really enjoyed even the comedy in the first movie. I really liked it. Whereas this movie, I thought at times sort of fell flat and it didn't have that pizzazz the first movie did. But it was still good. It's worth watching. I liked it. Just like I said, maybe not one of my favorite MCU movies, but still a good watch. I still did enjoy it, and I would recommend it if you're a fan of the Marvel movies. Then we have Teen Titans Go to the Movies. This was great. This was so much fun. I had heard this was a great movie. I'll be honest, I've never watched Teen Titans Go. I got a bunch of like the season, well, the season 1 volume whatever releases they put out. I have a bunch of those. I've just never got around to watching it. The original Teen Titans, which apparently they're going to do a movie, Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans. I can't wait for that. The original series, oh my gosh, I loved it. I've seen it I've watched it like 10 times. It's so good. But I really do want to watch more Teen Titans Go now because this was funny. They are continuously making like pop culture references, messing with other movies. I'm not just talking about, DC movies. They're going after Marvel movies and all kinds of stuff. Stan Lee makes cameos in this. They make a joke about how, well, this isn't a Marvel movie, and Stan Lee's like, I don't care, I'm going to make a cameo anyway. It's really funny. Best line in the movie is when, I believe it's Starfire, she points up at the, they go to the Warner Brothers studio, and she points up at the water tower, and she goes, that's where the Animaniacs live. I love that, like, they did that because kids watching this probably have no idea who the Animaniacs are, which is sad. Anyway, so this is so good. It's extremely funny. It's a great story of them looking for like a super villain, because every team needs their super villain. Every Batman needs its Joker and whatnot. And in this case, who's the Teen Titans bad guy going to be? Well, if you know anything about the Teen Titans, it's right. I guess I'm not giving it away. It's Slade. That's kind of known as like their bad guy. So I loved this. It was great. I cannot recommend this one enough. Teen Titans Go to the Movies was hilarious. Definitely worth seeing. Goosebumps 2, on the other hand, not so much. It's the first movie, again, but not as good. That's the best way to describe this movie. I loved the first Goosebumps movie. It blew me away. I went into it thinking, really? Goosebumps movie? Okay, how good's this going to be? I had heard it was good, but I didn't know. Watched it, and I couldn't believe how good it was. It was fantastic. It was amazing. I highly recommend the first Goosebumps movie. I loved it. So I was kind of pumped for the second one. And I guess, who's it, Sony? Yeah, Sony just went, you know what? I got an idea. Let's make the first movie again. It won't be as good, but we'll do it again. Why not? And that's what this is. It felt like the first movie for a second time, but not as good. What direction should they have gone in? I don't know. But why do the movie they did it again. Just, no. Like, it worked for, worked for Home Alone, but not for Goosebumps. Something different. I can't really recommend this movie. It was very mediocre. First movie's phenomenal. Second movie, meh. Will they do a third one? I don't know. Probably. If they do a third one, I hope they go in some completely different direction. I have this horrible suspicion that they're just going to make Goosebumps 3, and it's just going to be the first Goosebumps again. I don't know. I didn't really care for that movie. Then I watched a movie that was a lot of fun, Killer Party. This is sort of like 80s, 80s like teen frat boy party movie meets horror movie, and I liked it. I can see why this movie maybe didn't get, only got a Warner Archives release, not a major release. It's not like top shelf as far as like the 80s horror movies are concerned, but it is still really good and very enjoyable. And if I'm not mistaken, it's an April Fool's Day movie too, which is really awesome. So something to watch on April Fool's Day besides in my opinion, also. See, that's the thing. April Fool's Day has a legitimate DVD release and maybe even a Blu-ray release. I don't remember. But this is, in my opinion, a better movie than April Fool's Day. Yeah, I like this one better. It's still a lot of fun. It's a great 80s horror movie. People do like this frat and this sorority, and they're throwing this party in this abandoned house. I won't give away too much, but something went down there. So they probably shouldn't be throwing this party there. And sure enough, the craziness ensues and people are being possessed and whatnot. And it's actually a lot of fun. I really did enjoy this one. I would say if you like 80s horror movies, this is one to check out. Like I said, maybe not be top shelf, but it's still a good drink. This is one. I like how I'm making drinking references. I've never drank alcohol in my entire life. This is definitely one to see though. It's a lot of fun. I cannot recommend it enough. 80s horror buffs. You got to see that if you have not. Then I watched Halloween. This was okay. I was hoping for so much more. I kind of was disappointed, I'll be honest. I went into it thinking it was going to be great because I had actually heard a lot of really good reviews on it. A lot of my friends really liked this movie. I, again, thought it was kind of just mediocre. What was I expecting? I don't know, but I mean, the first Halloween's just such a good movie. How you gonna make another one that's that good? I don't think it's gonna happen. They've tried twice now. I guess 3 times you want to count Halloween 2. And just no. So again, it's not a bad movie. It's good. I guess as far as the other Halloween movies never happened. Halloween movie where it's basically Halloween 2. Why call it Halloween though? It's stupid title, by the way. Seriously, what were they thinking? That's the dumbest title ever. I guess as far as an actual sequel to the first movie, it's not bad. It's an interesting idea with Laurie and all these years later and whatnot. And Michael's still alive, and she's kind of more of a badass now. It's okay. It has its moments. It's an enjoyable film to some extent. It just, after I watched it, it wasn't like I wasn't like, wow, man, Halloween, love these movies. I kind of watched and went, okay, it was another Halloween movie. Like, I liked it as much as I like other Halloween movies. Like, I love the Halloween franchise. None of them are nearly as good as the first one, and that's kind of what I felt about this one. It was just another Halloween movie. By the way, for a movie that's supposed to be like the other movies never happened, there sure is a lot of references to the other movies. Like, if you know anything about the other Halloween movies and really watch this one, you're gonna get a bunch of winks and nods, comments that kind of make a joke about the other movies, or like the 3 masks from Halloween 3 pop up at one point. They make all these sort of like winks and nods and references to the other movies, like almost like kind of making a joke about it or whatever. It kind of takes you out, because for a movie that's supposed to be like these films never happened, they sure do talk a lot about those films and whatnot, and it makes you think, no, those films did happen. I'm supposed to be taken out of it. I'm supposed to be like, no, okay, I'm in a world where these movies never happened. So stop mentioning the other movies. Why would they do that? I don't get it. So, Halloween, mediocre. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. Again, if you like the Halloween movies, it is one worth seeing. It's a good Halloween movie, a good Halloween sequel. But it's not anything more than just a Halloween sequel, in my opinion. It's another Halloween 2. It's another H2O. I know some people are probably gonna hate me for saying it. I mean, it's not Resurrection, but still, it's just another Halloween movie. I liked it, but I wanted more. I don't know. Then I watched American Justice, Quiz Show Scandals and Other Frauds. This is just about really awesome frauds that have happened in America. Everything from quiz show scandals in the 1950s or 1950s. Let's see what else. Fake biographies about Howard Hughes. I mean, all kinds of things like people did to just fraud people, and it's really interesting that the things that people got away with or tried to get away with. Great documentary. I'd recommend this one. Not much more to say about it, but good documentary there. Then we have Mayhem, which is basically just, what was it, the Belko experiment, or what's the name of the movie? Very similar. There's a office building of a bunch of people who are, there's this virus going around the world, and it's making its way around, and it basically makes you go like crazy and just you just start killing people. Like you just go like badass. You go mayhem. So it's making its way around. It gets into this building, and they quarantine the building off. But there's like, I guess, a cure, and they're like, oh, the cure will eventually help, fix you guys, and you'll be good to go. But it's gonna be like 24 hours or whatever. You're stuck in this building, and it's basically like, so we got to survive now. Like, if we can make it through however many hours of quarantine, we're going to be good to go, but we got to make it through this. Everybody's trying to kill each other. And it's fun. It's interesting. It's nothing great. I can't say I'll be watching this one over and over again. Will I ever even watch it again? Probably not. But still, it was enjoyable for what it is. It's just an interesting movie about this virus taking over, people going crazy, killing each other, and some people having to survive this ordeal. And there's a bit more to it than that. Even though they're trying to survive the ordeal, somebody gets screwed over in this movie, and they're using the ordeal to their advantage, and maybe going after some people. So it's fun. It's an interesting movie. I would recommend checking it out. Maybe just give it a rent, though. It's nothing you necessarily need to own. If you can get it for a good price, pick it up. But otherwise, it's at least just worth a watch. Then I checked out Smallfoot, and I loved it. I'm a big fan of just CGI animated movies to begin with. I've always really enjoyed CGI animated films, and this was another great one. All about a group of Yetis, and I don't want to give too much away because there is some interesting plot points in this movie. It's interesting the way they explain why there are these Yetis and why they have the belief system they have and why they don't know there's humans. It's very, very interesting. I like how they tackled that whole situation they were in. It's really well done. I definitely recommend this movie. If you like CGI animated films, Smallfoot's not one to miss. It was really well done, very enjoyable, and all in all, I'd say a great movie. Again, it's nothing mind-blowing. It's not, Disney Pixar, but it's still really good. So Smallfoot, yeah, check that one out. Then one that you guys reminded me about, Blockers. I've owned this for a little while and just never got around to watching it. It was okay. I'll be honest, I wasn't blown away by this movie. So many people out there just loved this film, and I thought it was good. It was enjoyable. It was funny. Had its great moments. It just, in this whole, like, kind of, I don't know what you want to call this, like these modern day comedies. There's a lot of movies that kind of feel like this, where something crazy is going on and a bunch of people are running around trying to, like, sort of stop it. Kind of like, there was Sex Tape, there was Blockers, there was that one about, like, it was called Tag or whatever, the one game about Tag, or movie about Tag. There's, it was a Game Night or something like that. There's all these movies like this. Like, they all have a very similar kind of feel of just people having to run around, like, town or whatever, and do whatever they have to do, and all this craziness ensues. In whatever genre you want to call that of comedies, this one, in my opinion, is one of the weaker ones. It's still good, though, with all these parents trying to stop their children, essentially, from having sex. It was enjoyable. I liked it. Again, it was funny. It's definitely worth it checking out. It just, again, as far as some of those other movies I mentioned, this is one of the weaker ones, in my opinion. But still, a good watch. Then I really wanted to rewatch Inglorious Bastards, because it's been so long since I've seen this, and man, I love this movie. Definitely one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino films. I love the idea of this renegade group of bastards going around and killing awesome Nazis, and again, I don't want to give too much away for those of you who haven't seen it, but they do some good and they get in some crazy situations. It's a really fun Tarantino movie. Of course, the dialogue is amazing in this, as Tarantino movies are. So if you haven't seen Inglorious Bastards and you like Tarantino, yeah, see that. And then I never actually got around to watching it, so I finally had to. The original Inglorious Bastards. Very different movie. This movie is about, sort of a renegade group of people during World War II who are at the point now where they're all going to get court-martialed, and they have to, like, team up, and they're all kind of on the run, but then they end up having to do good. This is a fun movie. It's very... I don't know, very sort of exploitation-ish. It was a lot of fun, though. I did enjoy it. I can definitely see why this is the type of movie Quentin Tarantino would enjoy. It's got some cheesiness to it, but it's a lot of fun in a weird sort of wacky way. Found out while watching the special features, G.I. Bro and Inglorious Bastards, same movie. Who knew? Not me. I have G.I. Bro on VHS. I had no idea it was the same movie. So yeah, this is one I'd recommend. It was a great watch. Then I watched... I'm starting to lose my voice now. Then I watched Black Klansmen. This was awesome. All about a black police officer who got involved in kind of trying to take down the Ku Klux Klan. This was a really, really good movie. It's based all on a true story as well. So this one I would definitely recommend. If you like the idea of a black man, what was this, 1970s, yeah. A black man in the 1970s, which already at the time he was kind of like looked upon as weird for being part of the police force, because heaven forbid, right? So to watch him sort of like take on the Ku Klux Klan and how he went about doing that and just sort of infiltrated them. And he even ended up having a card. He was a card-carrying member of the Ku Klux Klan. It's really good. This is definitely one to check out. It was funny, but also a really good story as well. So definitely see that. Then I watched First Man, all about Neil Armstrong and blasting off to the moon. I don't know how truthful this is, but if it is truthful, then Neil Armstrong definitely had himself some issues. Again, if that's true, that's something about Neil Armstrong I was not aware of. Also kind of stinks about his first daughter. I wasn't aware of that either. Yeah, a lot of stuff about... I learned a lot about Neil Armstrong that I did not know. Hopefully this isn't too Hollywood and is sort of at least somewhat truthful to the real story and who Neil Armstrong was, because it was very interesting. So I would definitely recommend this one. Also, I would recommend watching it in 4K because it looked really good in high definition. So I wouldn't say this movie is the next... like Apollo 13 or anything like that. It's not one of those movies I'll be watching over and over and over again, but it was still a great watch and definitely one to, at the very least, give it a rent. Then I watched I Feel Pretty. I'll be honest, I watched this, well, I mean, I own it, so I mean, what can I say? I own the movie, so I can't, I gotta take some credit for this one. I was gonna watch it eventually, but the wife wanted to see it, and I hadn't watched it yet, so I was like, yeah, let's pop it in, and, it's an Amy Schumer movie. Jesus, I don't even want to go into this one. She is, she is who she is. She's a little bit heavy set, and she bumps her head, and now she thinks she's super like hot and pretty, and basically in the end realizes that she was just being herself, and she doesn't need to be skinny. She just needs to be herself. People still love her for just who she is, and she should love herself for who she is. And just, it wasn't very good. So yeah, I can't really recommend this one. My wife didn't even really like it. She was kind of upset by the fact that, like, she was just saying some of the dumbest stuff ever and wearing some of the worst outfits ever, apparently. And she's like, well, if she thinks she's so hot and awesome, why is she still acting like a complete moron and dressing like garbage as well? And she's right. It didn't make any sense. So I Feel Pretty. No, you don't need to watch that one. Then I watched Alone in the Wilderness 2. If you guys have seen Alone in the Wilderness, it is a fantastic documentary all about Dick Pronicki, Dick Pronicki, I think. he basically went into Alaska and got a little plot of land next to a lake and built his own cabin and lived out there. That's just where he lived. He lived in the wilderness, alone in the wilderness. And the fact that he built all this stuff, his own cabin, his own bowls, his own tables, his own, like everything he had to build and do to survive in this wilderness, he did by himself. It's actually really amazing. The first one is really good. Alone in the Wilderness 2 is simply a cash-in. This is basically, hey, we still had some footage left over from the first film because they use his own footage. Like he actually shot footage on like his camera, I guess 8mm or Super 8 camera, whatever, when he was out there in the wilderness, and they took that footage and in his diary writings and used that to make the first documentary, which again is really fantastic and definitely one I'd recommend seeing. This one, they basically said, okay, we have some footage left over. We have some passages in it from his diary we did not use. Let's just use them. And it's like, okay, so it's not that it's bad. If you like the first one and you can get your hands on this one, these are kind of expensive actually. And you can get your hands on this one. It's worth picking up and checking out. It's fun to, this feels like a bonus. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry guys. This feels like bonus footage is what this is. Deleted scenes, if you would. That is what this feels like. It's not so much an actual documentary, or even really more to the documentary. It's kind of like, okay, here's more footage we found. Here's some diary writings we found. We didn't use them in the first documentary. Let's just slapdash them together to make some money off the first documentary that actually did really well. The first Alone in the Wilderness movie, was like really highly praised and rightfully so. It's really good. So I'm not gonna sit here and say, yeah, you gotta see this one, but if you like the first movie and you basically want some bonus footage, see that. It's okay. Then I watched Drib. This was interesting. This is a movie about, and it's based on a true story, this guy who kind of fooled a major energy drink brand into having him as his as their spokesmodel. The issue with the movie for me is that even though he kind of tricked them into to making him their spokesmodel, it just sort of doesn't go anywhere. And I don't care. I'll kind of ruin this one for you guys because you don't need to see it. He gets the gig, and then the rest of the movie is kind of about him like them sort of being like, well, maybe we're going to give you the gig, maybe we're not, because we want to give you the gig, but they're kind of concerned about giving you the gig because your whole thing is you getting beat up. That's your shtick, and they don't really know if they want to have some guy getting beat up as their spokesman, and it just sort of goes nowhere. The movie sort of ends, and you're like, nothing really happened. You're waiting for the punchline, and the punchline never comes. So it's an interesting story, but this is one of the few times I would say they should have maybe gone more Hollywood instead of making it like an actual sort of real movie based on these real events, or not based on, but like sort of more or less a real movie showing the real events that are happening kind of. They should have been like, all right, this is based on a true story, and then gone way off the rails and made some crazy awesome movie where at the very end, like, they stick it to the energy drink company or something. I don't know. You don't need to see this one. It was just mediocre in my opinion. The last physical thing I have here to show you is The House with a Clock in Its Walls. Now, this blew me away. I was not expecting this to be this good. When I first saw the trailer for this movie, I don't know what it is about Jack Black's acting. I mean, he usually acts very over the top and crazy, but something about him in this, in the trailer for this movie, it was like, ew, like that. Wow, that's some of the worst acting I've ever seen in my entire life. It's not that bad in the movie. Like, you watch the movie and it works. I don't know. It's great. The trailer just really did not do it for me. But the movie in itself is a fantastic story. It's about witches and warlocks and wizards and magic and spells, and not a movie for kids. They're raising the dead in this movie. There's some crazy stuff that happens in this film, and it is so much fun. I don't know, was there, it's like based on a series of books? Because if it is, I kind of hope we get another one, because this was really, really enjoyable. Again, I cannot recommend this one enough. If you like fantasy movies. If you like, the Harry Potters and what else, movies like that, just crazy, awesome fantasy movies involving kids. This is one you're gonna want to watch. It was really, really enjoyable. But like I said, fair warning. There are definitely some creepy moments in this that if you have a younger child, like I'm glad I was gonna watch this with Sean and I didn't, and I'm really happy I didn't because he would have freaked out at some points in this movie. He would not have been too happy with like zombies and stuff. So anyway, it was really good though. I would highly recommend this movie if you're into fantasy films. This is definitely one to check out. It was a lot of fun, and I'll be watching this movie again. It was that good, and I hope for a sequel. So then two other movies I watched that I can't physically help and show you because I don't have physical copies. First one, and I already reviewed this movie. I had this idea in my head to maybe start reviewing movies, like making individual videos for every movie I watch. And then I remembered I hate reviewing movies, which is probably why it's taken me like almost a month to get to this. So first movie is Bird Box, and I had to watch it because everybody was talking about Bird Box and how amazing it is and whatnot, and I liked it. I thought it was really good as well. It didn't really feel like a Netflix movie in my opinion. It felt very Hollywood. If you like movies like I can't think of the name of the movie now. I was thinking of it earlier when talking about this movie. A Quiet Place. There you go. If you like movies like A Quiet Place, very similar. A lot of people compare it to that, and it had that feel. Whereas in A Quiet Place, they couldn't talk because the creatures would hear them and attack them. In Bird Box, they're basically blinded because these creatures you don't really see, but there's these creatures outside. If you look at them, you get this, something comes over you and you basically commit suicide. So you can't look at these creatures, and it's people having to survive, and we get down to Sandra Bullock and these two kids, and them having to survive and get to where they have to go to survive. And if you have any brains whatsoever throughout the movie, you'll be thinking, what about people who maybe can't see? It's a bit of a spoiler here, but what about people who can't see? They sort of explain that at the end of the movie. So anyway, yeah, there's also other people after him because I guess people with mental disabilities, like crazy people. I shouldn't use that word, but you know what I'm talking about. People with sort of mental disabilities or whatever, or people who'd be in an insane asylum. These people they can see the creatures, but the creatures they don't kill themselves. They actually kind of like a cult, and they want to make you see the creatures. It's very interesting. I actually really liked it. I know a lot of other people did as well because again everybody was talking about it. Some people didn't like it too much, but I'd recommend it. I hope it gets a physical release because I'm gonna pick it up. It was very enjoyable. It's a fun I guess you see horror movie. It's enjoyable. I liked it. I'd recommend it. Good watch. And then the last movie I'm gonna talk about it quickly is that guy, Dick Miller, because unfortunately Dick Miller did pass away. So I popped this in. I turned this on my Vudu really quickly. I do have a digital copy of it. It's like my third time watching this movie. It's a documentary about the life and career of actor Dick Miller. If you're thinking to yourself, who's Dick Miller? IMDb him really quickly. You will know who he is. The whole joke of him is that he's that guy. He's that guy. That guy. Because he's been in a zillion movies, and I guarantee you, probably 90% of the movies this guy's been in, you've watched. You've seen this guy before. You've seen the movies this guy has been in before. He's in so much stuff. And it talks about his career, how he started off, not even really being an actor, then getting into acting, and how that spawned off to him just being that guy in every movie. So it's great. Dick Miller seems like the nicest guy. Well, he did seem like the nicest guy ever. He seemed very humble. A guy who just loves what he does. He doesn't care that he's not Mr. Hollywood, that he's not, he never really got, these major leading roles. I mean, he did have some leading roles, but for the most part, that wasn't what he did. He just played these kind of B actor, or he was kind of like a B actor. He played these small little parts, or he maybe had like a B cast in a movie. He just played these kind of weird roles, and he loved it. He had fun with it. He really enjoyed what he did. He seems like a guy who just enjoyed acting. He did not care if he wasn't the big name. He just wanted to have fun, get on screen, do a bit of acting, make some money, and just have a good time doing it. And he really seemed like he had a fantastic life and loved every bit of his career, except for when Quentin Tarantino apparently cut him out of Pulp Fiction. He didn't seem too happy about that. Him and his wife seemed a little skewed about that, but otherwise, seemed to love everything in his career. So, rest in peace, Dick Miller. If you haven't seen the documentary, it is definitely worth checking out. Like I said, this is like my third time watching it. It's really, really good about a great man who was a great actor. So, all right, guys, that is it. I am done. There's everything I watched in January. Oh my gosh, that is so much stuff. I did not realize I watched that many movies. I've been trying to watch more. Last year was pretty bad with movies because I got very bogged down with trying to do videos and run the store, and I've kind of hopefully got everything sort of where I need it to be now, where I have more personal time, so I can watch more movies. So looks like we're off to a good start. We'll see where February takes us. I don't know. I got a lot of stuff going on this month. But anyway, guys, again, that is it. So as always, thank you all so much for checking out this video. Be sure to hit that like button down below. Also, if you want to see a brand new video from me every single day, hit that subscribe button and you're going to get one. Also, be sure to check down below for a link to Patreon, where you can help support the show. The simple donation of $1 or more if you like really does help out. Goes a long way. Goes right back into these videos, and it does gain you early access on most of my videos as well. Also, check down below for a link to Spreadshirt, where you can grab yourself many designs of Cinema Sickness t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, hats, buttons, all kinds of cool Cinema Sickness gear. And as always, most importantly, check down below for a link to the Cinema Sickness Retro Store, where you can pick up all kinds of awesome media like movies, books, video games, music, retro toys, movie memorabilia, all kinds of cool stuff like that. And proceeds from the store are the most important for the show. They are what keep the show going. So again, guys, that is it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to go get some water. Bye. Wait a minute, hold on. I think I also watched God Bless America in January. I forgot about this one. This was an interesting movie about a guy who really has nothing to lose anymore. I won't give away too much, but basically no reason not to just do kind of what he wants to do and decides to off himself, but at the last minute decides, nah, you know what? I'm going to go on a killing spree instead. But he decides to go and kill people who are kind of just bringing down society, from people who talk in movie theaters to whiny rich girls who are handed everything they want and then cry about the billion-dollar car their parents just bought them. It's really interesting, and I can kind of understand where he's coming from. These people are quite annoying. I'm not saying I would go to the extreme that he went to, but I can understand how it might drive somebody to, the brink of insanity, especially somebody who has nothing to lose anymore. So it was an interesting idea for a movie, kind of a look on society and whatnot, but in the end it wasn't the greatest film I've ever seen. I've had more time to think about it. I've already actually reviewed this movie, but I had more time to take it in, and after doing that I realized this isn't like a movie maybe like Falling Down that I'd watch over and over again. This is a movie I'd probably just watch this one time and then be done with. He also teams up with this little teeny bopper girl who kind of is going along with it because, I don't know, teenage angst more so than her actually, truly being fed up with society as well. So kind of weird that he teams up with this girl. So sort of a Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing, if you will, only a grown adult with a teenage girl, which is already kind of weird in of itself. They do address that though, which is good. So yeah, written and directed by Bobcat Goldthwait, the weird guy from the Police Academy movies. It has him written all over it. Definitely feels like something he would probably put together. So in the end, it's an interesting watch, an interesting take on society, and somebody who's basically just fed up with modern day society and the way people act, and how horrible people can be, and just how people don't take things for granted and whatnot. So decent watch. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I'd recommend checking it out at least once. It was an okay watch. I enjoyed it for what it is. But like I said, will I be watching it again? Probably not, but God Bless America. Sure, check it out.